Hi guys, so fall is finally here, and you know what, I love to have really comforting dishes, so I'm going to show you guys how to make risotto. Don't be intimidated. I know a lot of chefs out there try to make it seem like you need all these perfect techniques, and if you screw up you're going to be ruined and a disaster in the kitchen and you should never ever cook again. But it's okay, just follow me. I'm going to show you how to make a flawless, well maybe not flawless, but an easy sail through dish. And the secret to it is TLC, tender loving cooking, and in return this baby right here, pancetta, is going to give us TLC, tender love and care in my belly. So the key to having a successful risotto is to have all your ingredients prepared and around you ready to go. So that's called a mise en place. I know, fancy term, but basically just meaning having all your ingredients there. When you start cooking it, you can start adding them one by one when you need them, and it should be fine. So what I'm prepping here is some pancetta. You just want to slice them into these shapes. These are sort of lardons. Lardon. You know what? Cut them like I just did. And you also want to prep some acorn squash. Now I love having squash in the fall, and with the acorn squash all you have to do is just peel them, dice them, and throw them in a pan, a little saute pan with a little olive oil. Now to that you're going to add just a pinch of dried thyme, and that's going to really infuse with the flavor. It's going to be a nice complement to the squash. Then when it's done and nice and golden brown, just transfer them out into the bowl that we'll use for later. Also, dice 1 large shallot or 2 medium shallots. And for our liquid to cook the risotto, you're going to need some broth. For this I'm using about 6 cups of chicken broth. You just want to have it simmering on the stove, ready to go. You want to make sure it's hot. This risotto is going to be extra cheesy because not only are we going to add it inside the risotto, but we're going to make cheese crisps. Now people usually put this in the oven, and you can use, I think, pretty much any cheese, I'm not sure. But for this we're going to use Jarlsberg. And I'm just going to simply put it in the pan, and you're going to see it bubble up and get a little toasty. The pan here is on medium heat. You don't need to add any oil, and just it's singing to me a cheese lullaby. So you're just going to add them like this to your pan. Okay. I'm going to separate them a little bit. Just little specks of thyme. And I think this is a nice flavor with the nuttiness of the Jarlsberg. Okay, so you're going to see it start to bubble up. Don't touch it. Leave it like that in the pan. And you're going to start to see little brown edges, and then you're going to try to flip it over. The reason I'm doing this before the risotto is because once you have the risotto made, it does not wait for nobody. So you got to serve it up, and these will be done ready. Everyone's going to be happy. Good times. So I'm just loosening up the edges here. You see it's nice and brown, so we're going to ever so delicately flip this. And just let these go for maybe another minute or two until they're the same goldenness on the other side. So you're just going to add them to a plate, put them aside, and we're going to work on our risotto. Alright, so the first step, we're going to warm up our pan here. You want to make sure it has a little height to the pan and that it's flat. I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil. Now that's warming up. I'm going to tell you about this baby right here. I'm going to use arborio rice. Now the reason you can't use any other regular rice like a long grain, this is a short grain rice, so the starch content is a lot higher, and that's what makes this a really creamy dish. So I have about 1.5 cups here. Just put that to the side. Alright, now my pan is nice and hot, so we're going to add, lower the heat a little bit, our pancetta. You see, that's the TLC I'm talking about. You know what I really love about cooking? The senses, the sound, and the smell. Oh, you can't go wrong with this. Alright, look how beautiful and golden that is. We're just going to scoop these out, and you can add them to our squash bowl here. We're going to add that later. Alright, so I reduced the heat a little because we're going to sweat our shallots in that wonderful pork fat. So you don't want it to get browned, you just want to sweat it out. You can't cook it like regular rice where you have, your amounts of rice and liquid. This, you have to cook it slowly. So we're going to have to add the liquid in increments. We're going to add our rice. Like I said, this is 1.5 cups of arborio rice. And you basically want to cover each and every single rice with that wonderful pancetta fat and the shallots. And you just want to, when it's toasted, when the pan has dried up a little bit, and you'll hear it make a sort of clinky sound. And of course, you will smell it. Remember, use your senses. Your food's gonna talk to you. Our rice is toasted, you can hear it. Hear that? Alright, so the first liquid we're gonna add is some white wine. You can use your favorite. And we're gonna add about a cup. Okay. And you can see, maybe just a little bit. Yep, just a touch more. Just want to barely cover it. And you will stir ever so lovingly. Alright, so you could see that almost all the liquid has been absorbed. Alright, so you just gotta look out for it. Trust your instincts. When you're seeing, see that? A nice clearing there. We're gonna add our first ladle of broth. Now I have the broth here, ready to go, nice and simmering. That way everything can cook evenly. So we're gonna add maybe a ladleful and a half at a time. Okay, and keep doing the same thing. Just stir it around. Have fun with this. Usually a lot of people are intimidated because they say you have to stay by the stove and you can't leave and you have to just stay there, stand by it. But it's okay, stir it a little bit. You can walk away. It's okay. Now when you're stirring, just stir like this. Easy motions. Don't be crazy about stirring like a maniac. Now you see it absorbed the liquid again. Now we add another ladleful and a half, depending how big your ladle is. Look at that, the starch is coming out and it's getting thicker and creamier. So you're going to keep doing this until the rice is sort of al dente. And other than that, enjoy the process. This is sort of a nice way to meditate, You can stand here by the stove and read your favorite book. You can sing and make songs about risotto, like I do, because I sing songs about everything. Risotto, risotto in my tummy. Risotto in my tummy. Right, look how creamy and delicious this is. I'm gonna taste it. Make sure it's a little al dente. You don't want to overcook it because it'll, ooh, hot. Very good. Now, we're going to stir in our pancetta and our acorn squash. Look how beautiful that is. Now, we didn't add it before because I didn't want it to become really mushy. Alright, so now for the cheese, I'm going to use something a little untraditional. Some good old Jarlsberg. Yum. This mild nutty flavor is going to go really well with the acorn squash, and I'm going to really love it. Alright, now turn off the heat. Add about a handful and a half of that wonderful Jarlsberg. Look at that. That gets nice and melty. And the flavors are going to love each other. Alright, then we're going to finish off with a little butter and some of that thyme we had left over. And this is going to make it extra glossy and just really luxurious. Plate a nice portion for me, and for that freshness I'm going to add a little lemony chopped parsley, and of course are crisp. Okay, so I'm gonna give this a try. Ooh. That is love. On a plate. None of the flavors are overpowering each other. The acorn squash and the Jarlsberg create this nice nutty sweet balance. Now, my chip. Stop talking to you guys. I'm gonna eat. So I hope you guys enjoy this. Let me know if you ever make it, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Special thanks to Jarlsberg for providing the cheese used in this episode. For more, visit jarlsbergusa.com. And for a bonus Jarlsberg recipe, visit justeatlife.com. Of course, like us on Facebook and send me a tweet.